one was also sort of an account where I was almost on my own, but unfortunately there was a black rhino that had been shot by accident in one of our reserves, with a reserve that has a lot of elephant. And I was called to please assist because the rhino had a calf, and the calf would not have survived on its own, and we needed to capture it and get it to the bomas. And at the time, we didn't have any helicopter assistance. There just was no helicopter available. So I went along in foot and tried to get this orphan. And it was very difficult. I was with a tracker, and just the two of us in the bush, and tracking it. And every time I tried to get up close enough for a dart, it would run away. And we were getting quite desperate because we were just sort of starting to get dark. And then fortunately what happened was I pushed my luck a little bit, and this calf was big enough to hurt you, and it charged me. And as a result, I was able to get a dart into it because it charged, and I was chased off and I put a dart into it. So the mission accomplished in terms of the dart. And we tracked it and found it, and it was fine. But at that stage now, and I think this reserve is basically sand forest, which, if you know what sand forest is, it's particularly dense, and you can so easily lose your bearings. And that's exactly what happened. I had no idea where I was. I was stuck in the middle of nowhere with this calf, and I needed to get some support from my support team that were waiting with a crate and everything else, and a truck to load it. And fortunately, my radio was still working because it had been, I was worried it was going flat, and I was able to radio and then give a GPS coordinate. And my colleague was able to see where I was, and he explained to me, he said, Dave, you're like 1.5 kilometers away from any road. That's where we've got access. So I just said, well, please just come and help me. So I waited for some staff to come and assist me. And once they got there, it was now approaching dark. It was getting dark. And in this particular reserve, this is the time that the elephants start moving away from the water, which was very close to us. It's a big swampy area, and they go into the forest to forage. So I was fully aware of the fact that there were elephants all around us. You could hear them and their rumblings, and talking to each other and whatever. So we woke this calf up to the point that thought we could manage it, and we needed to walk it back to to the crate, wherever it was 1.5 kilometers. And as we were walking it, it got more and more awake. So we had it blindfolded. We had a rope on the front, and someone was hanging onto the tail. It wasn't me, by the way. There was another chap, but I just remember taking a photograph of this, and the photograph came out as a blur because by now the elephant were moving all over the place, and there was a very real threat that we're going to get sort of enclosed by a herd of elephants. So we were running, and it was straight directly down an elephant path, because that's how you move in those forests. You've got to find a path like that. And fortunately, we got through unscathed, but literally at a sprint, with my colleague, as I said, holding onto its tail as a bit of a brake, and one of our colleagues running ahead with the rope. And I think they were running as fast as they could. And with that, thankfully, we found the crate. It had been placed on the ground, and I just remember shouting, "Open the doors! Open the doors!" And we just ran that rhino into the crate, and that was it. And it was a huge relief after that episode. But it just shows the sort of lengths you sometimes have to go to help an animal and assist it.